Motor Week is made possible by Rock Auto and Tire Rack.
Hello and welcome to Motor Week and to part one of our 1986 Detroit New Car Preview. This is a very special time for automakers since it's also the 100th anniversary of the horseless carriage. So along with our annual review, Pat Goss will be looking back at how the car and some of its workings have evolved. Our review focuses on Ford and Chrysler this time, with General Motors and American Motors to follow. And follow is what the entire U.S. auto industry did in 1908 when Henry Ford took a gamble on the Model T and revolutionized personal transportation. Ford's Tin Lizzie, like this one provided by our friend Loy Zimmerman, was really responsible for starting America's love affair with the car. So it's fitting for Ford to start the centennial year of the car by betting big bucks on yet another trend-setting project.
The $3 billion gamble in question is the aero-styled Ford Taurus and its kin, the Mercury Sable. Dollar-wise, the biggest single gamble in the history of Ford. Besides radical sheet metal that has more than a passing resemblance to the Audi 5000S, these front-wheel drive mid-size Fords are new in every way. With a length just short of 16 feet and a wheelbase of 106 inches, the exterior dimensions are just slightly larger than Audi's flagship. Most everything about the cars shows the influence of Ford's European trained bosses. But to be fair, the Taurus Sable design was set in stone long before the latest big Audi was introduced. The Sable, with all the aero touches, including a grille-less light bar nose and flush side glass, has a drag coefficient of only 0.32. The striking wagon counterpart only 0.34, and that's the lowest of any wagon sold in the U.S. Power initially will come from an all-new port-injected 60-degree 3-liter V6 and 4-speed overdrive automatic combination. Transversely mounted, power ratings are 140 horses and 160 pound-feet of torque. Combined with the aerodynamics, this powertrain should provide everyday mileage in the low 20s, and that's good for cars weighing 3,200 pounds or more. Not ready for startup production is a 92-horse, 2.5-liter throttle body injected 4-cylinder. This bored-out variant of the Tempo Topaz power plant will be available with a Mazda-made 5-speed manual transaxle or Ford's 3-speed automatic. But what really makes the Ford Taurus Mercury Sable so revolutionary are the un-Ford-like touches. The interiors are very contemporary. Even the standard bench seat Taurus looks purposeful. The dash and instrument cluster of the Taurus has little bright work, with all controls shaped for rapid use. Air handling controls are European in style, using rotary knobs rather than levers. A similar arrangement is used on the Sable, and digital instrumentation is an option. The Taurus Sable will also be the first cars to use the InstaClear electrically heated windshield for engine-off defrost. Outside, the details continue, from the aero headlights that are fast becoming a new Ford trademark to the door handles that are designed to go with the body's flow. And how's this for a neat item? Optional on both Taurus and Sable wagons is a rear-facing jump seat that transforms into an underfloor storage nook and a fold-out picnic tray. The front suspension on all models and the rear on the sedan is McPherson strut with gas shock standard all round. Wagons use their own tube shock coil spring rear suspension that allows both a smooth ride and a wide flat cargo floor. Now prices should range from just under $10,000 for the base Taurus L to $15,000 for the top-line Sable LS. That's on par with its major domestic competitors and less than its import rivals. And that should help Ford capture a major chunk of the mid-size family car market. Ford Taurus and Mercury Sable, a slippery approach for the most interesting American sedans introduced in many years, and they're certain to do much more than just slip through the wind.
But despite their come-hither looks, the Ford Taurus and Mercury Sable are only a part of Ford's plan to lure buyers into an affair with their 1986 cars.
Ford's other front-drive offerings have received some notable revisions and additions for 1986, beginning with the compact Ford Escort and Mercury Lynx. The Escort Lynx donned new front and rear sheet metal and a larger 1.9-liter engine just last spring as 85.5 models. Now high-performance variants are back as the re-engineered Escort GT and Lynx XR3. Both sport a high-output, port-injected motor that produces 26% more horsepower and 14% more torque than the standard engine. There will be no turbocharged version. With big 15-inch wheels, a new rear stabilizer bar, and thicker one up front, they're outstanding econo-boxes in corners. The flush headlights of the standard Escort Lynx have been augmented on the GT XR3 with an offset grille, a popular Italian touch these days. They have spoilers front and rear, wheel spats, and driver-oriented interior trim. And in case you were wondering about the bug-eyed EXP, a more handsome model will debut next spring. Up one notch, the Ford Tempo and Mercury Topaz also get smoothing touches for their aero shapes. Flush lights and new grills give these mid-size offerings a cleaner, longer look. The Sport Package, introduced late last year, has been enhanced with 15-inch cast wheels and stiffer springs. Interiors on all models remain mostly the same, although there is a new steering wheel and column design that provides more crash protection than before. The long-rumored four-wheel drive Tempo Topaz is slated to bow at mid-year. Over on the rear-wheel drive side of the track, changes for 1986 have been even more subtle. The original pony car, the Ford Mustang, meets the new year with few changes outside, except for the new high-mounted stoplight, being spoiler-mounted on all hatchback models. The spring revisions of the sophisticated Mustang SVO are being followed in the Blood and Guts GT with sequential port fuel injection for its 5-liter V8. While a beautiful sight under hood, the reasons for the change have more to do with fuel economy than speed. The high-output 5 liters 200 horsepower is 5% less than last year, although low-end torque is up 7.5% to 285. The Mustang's close relation, the bubble-backed Mercury Capri, also gets the revised V8. Now, the car that began Ford's Aero Wave, the Thunderbird, also goes into 86 with almost no changes inside or out. The Fila Designer Series has been discontinued, and slightly larger tires are now standard. A 150-horse 5-liter port-injected V8 is offered here, and the 2.3-liter turbo T-Bird continues. That lightweight powertrain, complete with 5-speed, is also available over at Mercury on the Cougar XR7. A power moonroof will be added later in the model year, and for the first time, a 4-speed automatic is available with a standard 3.8-liter V6. Despite the advent of the slick front-drive Ford Taurus and Mercury Sable, the rear-drive Ford LTD and Mercury Marquis sedan and wagon will be continued for the first few months of the 1986 model year. But the story is quite different for Ford's biggest rear-drive family cars, the LTD Crown Victoria and sister Mercury Grand Marquis. With a renewed interest in larger cars, popularity of these full-size V8 sedans and wagons has grown. They now should be around for the rest of the decade, with new sheet metal due along the way. As for Ford's luxury models, again, 1986 is mostly a carryover year for the Lincoln Mark. The Lincoln Town Car, with a fresh reskinning last year, continues to be their most popular model. Changes for 1986 are limited to the new 5-liter V8, now with roller tappets and fast-burn combustion chambers. Ford's answer to the GM Delco Bose radio is a Ford JBL unit, and it's due later in the model year. Lincoln's downsized sedan, the Continental, adds last year's limited availability anti-lock brake system as standard on all models. The 12-speaker JBL stereo will also be offered here, along with a host of minor interior changes to fabric and trim. Everything that goes for the 4-door Continental also goes for the Mark 7 Coupe, including the demise of the turbo diesel option, a fine engine that just showed up too late and sold too few. The Luxo Touring Mark 7 LSC gets the same high-output V8 as the Mustang and Capri, along with a revised suspension and a new mechanical gauge cluster. The delayed Lincoln Mercury import, the Merkur XR4 Ti, will finally come up to full speed in 1986. The only change? That ubiquitous high-mounted taillight. A second and larger imported Merkur model is due next spring. But if you think that aerodynamics are only a concern with Ford cars, just take a look at the latest in Ford trucks, most notably the shape of the Ford Aerostar van and wagon. As the last of the first round of domestic minivans to appear, the Aerostar provides something for those who want smaller vans and bigger station wagons. With seating for up to 7, the Aerostar is powered by a 2.3-liter 4 or 2.8-liter V6. The rear-drive Aerostar has a maximum towing capacity of 5,000 pounds. The other news at Ford Trucks is the addition of an extended cab to their downsized Ranger pickups, called Super Cab, and includes 17 inches of behind-the-seat space with inward-facing jump seats an option. V6 power has been improved with a longer-stroke port-injected 2.9-liter unit, replacing last year's carbureted 2.8-liter. The Super Cab can be ordered as four-wheel drive with Ford's new TouchDrive electronic shift system. It's a soft-touch way to go from 2 to 4-wheel drive without stopping. Both the larger engine and TouchDrive are also available on the Bronco 2. Sophistication in trucks, vans, cars, across the board seems to be the Ford Motor Company story for 1986 and beyond.